Welcome to Third Paradigm.
We are your hosts, Clarity and Nuance.
Third Paradigm is a digital third place, which is where people practice the art of conversation. The host and guests come from all backgrounds and different ways of thinking.
We here at Third Paradigm will discuss ideas and the facts of life with respect while pushing the envelope. Full disclaimer, hosts and guests will share their opinions. The opinions of our guests are strictly of their own and do not represent the opinions of Third Paradigm.
However, when we, the hosts, share facts, we will back them up with evidence. If we are wrong, we will make it right as soon as possible because we believe in practicing integrity. Welcome to Third Paradigm. So, Clarity, looks like we got a continuation on from last week, because last week we had How Do We Get Here, and I think that was a really, really insightful episode. But this week we have Where Do We Go From Here? I think this title is appropriate, especially thinking about this coming month. Next month, we always celebrate Dr. King's birthday in January. We have a new year. And Where We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, was the last book that he wrote. It wasn't a popular book. It was actually a book where Dr. King was the least popular because he challenged the very structures of our society. And now it's actually very, very popular. And I highly recommend people get it from the King Center, where the King Center, which gives to a lot of great causes, they'll get the money for it. But his book was not allowed to be printed for 10 years after he was assassinated, because that's how powerful the book was. So, what do you think about that?
That one's really good.
Yeah, I heard an interesting quote this week from Dr. Cornel West that the difference between intelligence and intellect, intelligence is something that we celebrate in our society because it leads to success, but success isn't necessarily greatness, while intellect is where you challenge the very premises and the very structures of our society, saying there's an injustice here. And I think that that's what his book did, and which is why a lot of people hated him. He challenged the unfairness and the injustice of poverty in society that has a lot of wealth, which we're experiencing right now. And he challenged the war machine in this country, which we have still right now, and he was challenging the Vietnam War. So I think that this is a very, very prevalent topic. But let's get started. We have 4 guests here. We have Maxwell, Carla, Pixie, and Sean, people who've all been on the show before.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. Thank you for coming back.
Hello.
What up, though? Awesome. So, Claire, you got the floor tonight for the icebreaker, so why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. So for tonight's icebreaker, I have a question for everyone. I don't know where I saw this question once, but I thought it was kind of funny, so I decided to share it with everyone else. Do you put peanut butter on first or jelly first when making a PB&J sandwich?
Peanut butter.
I'm gonna have to go with peanut butter first, for sure.
I would say I do peanut butter first myself, but only with strawberry jelly though.
I'm allergic to strawberry. We have to use grape or raspberry.
You poor child. Sorry.
Carla, what about you?
I don't like either, but if I did, I would be inclined to put peanut butter first on both pieces of bread to keep the jelly from making one of the pieces of bread soggy.
That's a good idea.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, so it sounds like everyone almost unanimously chooses the peanut butter. Why the peanut butter first?
Because jelly's messier.
That's pretty legit.
Sticky. Once you finish with the jelly and there's sticky everywhere, the last thing you want to do is do peanut butter.
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
Now wait, what kind of jelly are we talking about? Are we talking about the run-of-the-mill, you can get, Welch's with high fructose corn syrup jelly? Or are we talking about getting like an organic fruit spread from like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or Kroger?
We use raspberry preserves that I buy at Meijer because I'm poor. But it gets everywhere because I have 4 kids.
Oh.
I'm using high fructose corn syrup strawberry jam all day. Okay, I don't. they can might just take out the strawberry, just make it just straight, just a strawberry paste, and just have it all nothing but sugar and strawberry flavor. That's what I want. Just put it on there.
Sugar.
Ooh. Sugar everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Carla, I like your response. So you're not a fan of peanut butter or jelly. What kind of a sandwich would you lean on?
Cheese and spinach with oregano.
Ooh, that sounds good.
What was it?
Cheese and spinach with oregano?
Ah, okay. I see.
That is really good.
Where do you stand, Clarity?
I have a bad habit of doing double deckers with peanut butter and jellies, where I do 3 pieces of bread.
That sounds fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
So I do I'm the same way like everyone else. I do peanut butter first because it seems the most like durable. Like I agree, like jam just goes everywhere. And then I tend to do peanut butter, and then jelly and jelly. And then it's like I call it triple decker. And I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Wow.
And if I really don't feel like a PB&J altogether, I just skip it all and go straight to Nutella.
Oh boy.
You godless heathen, for sure. You double decking and then you just skip the PB&J in general sometimes.
Gosh, okay. Wow. I guess I'll go. I've tried both. I've always thought about doing the peanut butter first and then cleaning off. I usually use like an actual measuring tablespoon thing because I like to. I'm not the richest person, so I like to spread my things out by the serving for my wife and I, and therefore I go to Trader Joe's. It's pretty inexpensive for organic stuff, for like their peanut butter and their fruit spread, which doesn't have like added sugar or anything. And so I get the raspberry and the superfruit or the strawberry. They got different kinds. I highly recommend when it's in season their watermelon spread. It's awesome.
Ooh.
Yes. It's seasonal in the spring, summer, so please get it. It's very light. It's awesome. And I usually just don't want the jelly in the peanut butter, which is why I usually do peanut butter first. But I've done the other kind, and this kind of spread doesn't necessarily get it everywhere. I just kind of use the back of the measuring tablespoon to spread it around, and it doesn't get too soggy. So.
Do you remember those
butter?
Huh?
Butter?
My grandma used to do that when I was a kid. She'd do peanut butter, and jelly. It was freaking amazing.
Wow.
Butter
and jelly. I do want to try Trader Joe's cookie butter because I've tried their cookie butter ice cream, which I must say is delicious. It's like, imagine ice cream with the waffle cone in it. So I want to try their cookie butter that you can spread on there. But that's the only other thing I wanted to try.
Ooh, sounds so good. Well, thank you, everyone, for weighing in on that icebreaker. That one, I don't know where I saw that one, but I thought that was a really cute icebreaker. So with that being said, we can get started. As we always say for our shows, each question is going to be approximately about 5 minutes apiece in total, meaning it's not 5 minutes per person. We'll call on 2 random people and then open up to the floor for everyone else. And then, they're about 5 minutes long. If you're not answering a question, please mute your mic and announce yourself when you answer the questions. And with that being said, Nuance, would you like to take the first question?
Yes. So question 1. Looking back pretty much on 2020, before the pandemic, after the pandemic, do you feel 2020 has amplified what was already there as far as the issues, the problems, the good things, the bad things in our society? Or do you feel that many of our issues we see are relatively new issues? And just to give some examples of these issues, I'm going to talk about racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, classism, political affiliation discrimination, and war. And we'll start with Carla.
I think that they're all long-standing issues. We're seeing newer versions of them. For example, the pandemic is it's almost like a weapon that's affecting some people more than the others, and people have sort of inadvertently weaponized it by politicizing it. I think it's just the original problems have morphed into something new because people are still refusing to learn. A lot of people who have historically had all the privilege through pandemic restrictions, whether it's stay-at-home orders or actual effects on their own income and whatever, and not having the mobility, it's ironic that it's one could look at as they're getting a taste of what marginalized communities have always endured. And unfortunately, I think the majority of them are not getting that. They're not having the epiphany, oh, okay, I see what, I'm finally getting a taste of my own medicine kind of a thing. I'm not saying that to, belittle or be hard-hearted about, people's misfortune, but I had really hoped that the people who have historically had the privilege, who are now facing serious hardships that people of color and other marginalized communities like immigrants and stuff have had all along, I had hoped that they could actually learn something from that, but instead a lot more people they're seeing it as an isolated problem that they're facing, and then you have those that are throwing temper tantrums. So I don't think there's been enough learning from the experience to say, okay, now that we know at least somewhat of what this is like, we can, change our way of doing things. But no, a lot of those people are still saying they want to go back to normal. And it's like, you totally missed the point.
Very insightful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, how about Max?
I think one thing that's amplified, most of the stuff I feel is pretty much exactly the same. It's the same Kool-Aid, just in a different picture. So it's still the same thing. Dealing with racism it's different. I mean, ain't nobody gonna call me the N-word out in public. I mean, some people have, but but it's it's still like a more quiet, subtle kind of thing that you just kind of see play in the background and stuff like that. One of the things I've seen that's been amplified the most is the separation of the political parties. It seems like it's hard to get on the same page when we're both reading from different books. You know what I'm saying? There's no consensus of what's right and what's wrong, what's real and what's fake. It's either all fake or all real, or somebody has a different perception of what the truth is on their end, and then I have what I believe is to be the truth. So it's trying to battle people. It's two people trying to headbutt what the truth is, and nobody's coming away with pretty much anything. As far as the pandemic goes, it just proved to me that the concept that America built up, which is, I believe, its downfall, is this whole concept of rugged individualism. Like, as long as I'm doing me, I gotta look out for me. So you have people who have, I believe that kind of mindset will have the people who don't want to wear masks and stuff like that. They believe in this rugged individual thing that's but we all live in this world together. So you may not think what you do won't affect me. But as soon as you walk outside, whatever you do from that point on will affect somebody. Whether it's cut somebody off in traffic, give somebody the finger, bump somebody, do something else or whatever. whatever you do in this world will eventually affect somebody. Maybe not that moment, but somewhere down the line. I don't know. It's like I said, it's just mostly the same to me. Especially with racism, that's pretty much just standard American fare, So that's how I feel.
Thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you, seriously. And you know what? Just for the sake of putting this out there, the one quote I've heard, and I will say that it's the second half of a verse, 1 John 2, it's 21 in the Message version of the Bible, and this is not to proselytize, but I've never thought I heard this better quoted, that it said to remind you that the truth doesn't breed lies. So just for the sake of everybody saying what is the truth, what isn't the truth, the truth is that which doesn't breed lies. And I think that is where we got to start off on the floor. So I just wanted to put that out there. No matter what people's beliefs are, which I respect to everybody, but I think we can start to say, the truth doesn't breed lies, then we can kind of move forward. So, anybody else on the floor wanna take a shot at this question?
Yep, we got about 1 minute left.
Yeah, this is Sean here. I think a lot of new issues have come to my attention through 2020, but I think that the issues have always been there. Overall, I think 2020 has made me see things a little better. It made my eyes a little wider and see things that I thought were not there.
That's a very good response. That's very good. And I agree. I agree with a lot of what everyone shared on this question, because it feels that for most of us, we know a lot of these issues have been around, but there's also new perspectives that we never thought about that 2020 has brought out. So thank you so much for that one. So we're going to move on to question number 2. So Nuance, you did number 1, so I'll read number 2. I'm going to target this one, or not target, I'm going to direct this question to, let's do Pixie and Sean first on this one. So number 2, in a democracy, do you believe that there are situations where someone can be respectful and loving person, i.e. accepting someone, and not participate in everything that person does? Why or why not? An example would be supporting someone who takes a knee at the national anthem, but you choose not to take a knee yourself. So Pixie, would you like to go first?
Sure. I think it's going to be really easy to answer this question as a white woman because high privilege, but I think that lateral growth is important too. I feel like if you are standing up and saying this isn't okay, others will follow even if they don't join you in that moment, and I think that's super important. We have to lead by example, no matter what other people, what choices they're making.
That's very good. And what do you mean by lateral? I'm curious.
So like growth that is beside somebody else who's growing faster than you, if that makes sense. So if I'm growing at a certain speed and changing at a rapid rate and someone next to me is changing but much slower, we have to, I feel, give people room to grow.
That's really good. That is a really good, insightful way to look at that, because some people may feel that they're I don't want to use the word farther along, but there's some people who may know more and see the system or whatever. But oftentimes we forget that there are people who are completely new to these issues, and it's easy to overwhelm somebody. So.
Yeah, I totally agree, because, you can't, no one chooses what family they're born into, what place they're born in, what culture they're born in, But everyone can help how they were raised, because that's what being an adult is. However, everybody does it at a different rate, and I think as long as people are speaking in good faith about where they come from and what they don't understand, we should give that grace to allow people to grow, you know, to grow at where they are. It's like, does everybody remember the privilege game where it's like, if you came from a two-parent home, take two steps forward. Or if you grew up in a two-parent home and one went to college or both went to college, take one step forward. If you grew up in a one-parent home, take one step back. Well, the reverse is true when if you grew up in hardship, you may be molded with more pressure before someone else to get the excess of the coal out to bring out your diamond. And so some people are further along in that respect. So I really appreciate that answer.
Very good. Sean, do you have anything to weigh in?
My answer is yes. I think there are a lot of differences in what others believe in, and just because someone doesn't fully 100% agree and participate in whatever that person is supporting, I guess that doesn't mean that they aren't a respectful and loving person. Is that what the question is trying to ask?
Yeah, kind of like the idea of I may not participate in XYZ, but I still respect you as a person, that kind of aspect.
Yeah, like, if I could give just a little background, what Colin Kaepernick did with the kneeling, it didn't start off kneeling, it started off with him sitting down during the national anthem with Eric Reed. And a Green Beret guy, who happens to be white, and the Green Beret, people don't know, is pretty much the black ops of our armed forces. It's the top of the top. Everybody wants to be Green Beret. Like the boys and girls, they do all the special operations, told him that he was angry because he felt disrespected for the troops. And he says, you know what? I understand your point about what's going on with black people and discrimination. So I ask you, don't sit, take a knee. Take a knee, because that's what we do at the graves of our fallen brothers and sisters in the armed forces with the flag. And so that's what Colin Kaepernick did. He reached out, listened in good faith, and they met somewhere in the middle. And he said, hey, will you take a knee with me? Nate Boyer said, you know what? No, I got to stand, because that's my thing. I believe in standing with my hand over my heart, saluting the flag, because that gave me inspiration and courage and whatnot. That was his thing. But he said, I will stand with you and support you next to you. And Shannon Sharp, who's on Undisputed with Skip Bayless, who's a football player, he said, I don't want this litmus test for football players that they have to kneel or not kneel. As long as you can respect the fact that I'm kneeling, because I understand the flag means something different, even though it's really not about the flag. And that is where this whole kind of question comes from, and not just about a flag, but about people with different cultures in society, in our society, having different beliefs and different practices. Is there a way where you don't participate with someone, like I don't get drunk with my friends even though I'm not against drinking? Does that mean that I'm a bigot against people that drink? You know, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's where the question comes from.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think someone can support X, Y, Z, but not particularly participate in it.
Awesome. So, see, that was about 5 minutes. Do we want to move on to the next question?
Yeah. So, unless you don't think we have maybe another minute for it?
Let me check. We can put in 1 minute left.
All right.
We'll open that to the floor.
Yeah, Max or Carla?
I'm all for people supporting something and not participating in it. I mean, everything's not for everybody, you know. I mean, as long as you're looking at it from a point of understanding and not just berating it because you don't understand it, and are willing to understand and learn and figure out what's going on, but it's not your thing, I'm all for it.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Carla, do you have anything?
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. As a person with a disability, a lot of the things that I would like to do to help my friends, like let's say if I was in an event my friends are taking a knee, I would want to do so too. But for me, because of my disability, it would be physically impossible. And also, like, say, going to rallies and things like that, it wouldn't be possible for me to put in the kind of physical effort that would be required and things like that. So for me, that means that I have the responsibility of being more, I guess you could say, creative with how I demonstrate that I believe in the same things and that I'm doing it in spirit, even if I can't do it physically. And then also it's important for people to make sure that even if you're not actively participating, to show that you are supporting, like to not give some signal that could be misconstrued as separating yourself. Like say, don't walk farther away from them or don't ignore what they're doing. If you truly support them, demonstrate that somehow, like stand closer to them or something. Don't just be like, act like, yeah, I don't know that guy. So,
I see what you're saying. Excellent. All right. Well, let's go on to the next question. Clarity?
All right. Go ahead.
All right. So, number 3. Yes. So, number 3, how can we economically move forward as a nation? And when I say economically, you take your pick. We try to take one that someone hasn't done before when we answer this question. One, or rather, you know what? I'll pick. The topics we have are ways we're supporting small businesses, because we have the small business community on here, while confronting major corporations as monopolies. Then we have dealing with classism inside and outside one's own group. So it's not just like the classic, we have, the wealth wage gap between white people and black people. What about the wealth wage gap within your own group? Healthcare, then housing, wages in relation to production, because we talk about a living wage, but what about how in the past you used to get paid based upon how much you produce, and it was a lot closer until after Dr. King was killed. Education, and then lastly, technology and automation and war, because those 3 things go together. So I want to start with Sean. How would you deal with things economically when it comes to technology, automation, and war, and also with wages in relation to production?
How
do you think we should move forward as a nation when it comes to economically, when it comes to technology, automation, and war? Let's just start with that one.
Such a broad question. Well, I think one thing we can move forward with technology is to bring awareness of small businesses. I feel that I think technology doesn't really help the small businesses out as much as it really should. I feel that it's poorly catered to big corporations. I found it increasingly difficult to find small business to support during this pandemic, and not just going down to, I don't know, like Subway or something to get like a sandwich. I feel that they're kind of swept under the rug with technology. Automation, I feel that maybe some medical devices, increased production of medical devices would definitely help out with, I don't know, spotting and eliminating viruses. I think that would definitely help us move forward. I feel that I wonder what the process is to spot like an actual virus. Get at. I'm not sure how technology can do that.
Okay, and on the war front, because we have a lot of drones that are being used to kind of automate our war effort. Do you feel that that's a moral issue as far as like being so disconnected when we go to war, and wars that are being done in our name as citizens?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Like, the question is, when it comes to, like you were talking about technology helping small businesses, that would be a good thing to help our economy going forward, because our economy has changed through the pandemic. And then we talked about how automation could help spot viruses, and that could help us economically. What do you think about war when it comes to our economy? Do you feel like the technology we have makes it easier for us to go to war and we're wasting more money? Or how do you feel that war fits into how we move forward as a nation and helping our economy? Do we think that we are in too many, that we make or not enough wars, or the wars for the right reason, wrong reason?
I feel that we definitely put a lot of money into war. I feel that the government definitely spends an absurd amount of money into war that we aren't necessarily fighting, but also keeping this country safe from other foreign corrupt countries as well. And that also goes into cybersecurity. There's so much attacks that occurs that the public doesn't really see. And that's something that, not a lot of people really think about.
Thank you for bringing that up. I actually didn't think about that myself. And we actually just had a technology break supposedly this week. So from the president's Twitter. So, all right, and let's move on to Carla. What do you think about how we move the economy forward as a nation when it comes to wages?
I remember reading something a while back. A number of economists, who of course nobody wants to listen to, say they always try to find ways to discredit them. There are some people who argue with concern that, if you raise the minimum wage, everything else is going to go up and up and up and all that, and it's not going to solve anything. But one of the economists, I wish I could remember his name, I read this 5 or 7 years ago, he made the point that the true minimum wage has not risen in proportion to inflation. Basically, the minimum wage as it was in the 70s was however many dollars an hour. If the minimum wage had truly risen in proportion to the price increases, minimum wage would be at least $15 per hour by now. But what's happened is companies have gotten so used to making that much more profit. And it's how much profit do you really need? You increase the gap, between the rich and the poor. So what society needs, and I made the point to some coworkers a few weeks ago when we were kind of debating this, is that unfortunately it's something that would probably take multiple generations, if not a century or more, to truly change, because it's not just a matter of changing one factor and expecting everything else to work out. You have to change everything. So in order to increase minimum wage and have it not just blow everything else out of proportion price-wise, would be you have to somehow change the culture of these businesses and not just hit them with laws, because they always try to find ways around laws, but you have to change the culture to realize, look, you don't need to be billionaires and trillionaires. It's not possible for any one human being to spend all that money. You need to keep enough of that in the economy so you have people who have enough food to eat. That's, rather than having people who don't have enough food, and then people like the dude in charge of Amazon who's approaching trillionaire status. It's he's one person with a family of however many people. There's no, that's more money than some nations have. So it's a system-wide thing. It's no easy answer of just changing this number, that number. It's all of it and the mindsets behind it all need to change.
Thank you. That was very well said.
Thank you. That actually leads us to our next question. That was perfect timing on that one.
Legit. My gosh. You kind of hit two for one, because you dealt with the wages, but you also dealt with big corporations, and then Sean, you dealt with small businesses and what. Technology is not used to help small businesses. You all are kind of hitting our questions without us even asking. You guys are awesome. My gosh.
That was amazing. So that actually leads us to the next question, because we can dive deeper into that one. So we're going to leave this one open to the floor. And anyone can jump in on this one. Anyone can. What do you believe is needed to build a culture of democracy?
Yes, please. And the floor is open.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Clarity this question. I'd like to hear a response.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want Clarity to answer it?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
well, talk about democratizing power. All right, Clarity, you're on the floor.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean. Wow, cool. So, what do I believe is needed to build a culture of democracy? Well, I think personally for me, like one of the things that comes to mind is really defining what is democracy. Like in a perfect world, from my personal perspective, a democracy to me is kind of like, and I don't know exactly the exact wording of it, but it's written in the Constitution for Canada, is that they look at their citizens as like a mosaic, that every single one of these groups of people all are individual communities, but then they contribute to the bigger mosaic picture of Canada. We grew up a lot with the belief of we're a giant melting pot and everyone comes from all over the world and they all kind of mix and mingle and come here. Well, my college professor kind of challenged that belief, and I never even thought of it this way, is that they said that when you think of America as a melting pot, when you're melting things, they become more part of the whole. And to some extent, they lose part of whatever that thing is. Like, say, for example, if you're melting, like, I don't know, like cheese, the cheese will melt and mix into your soup. It will still be in there somewhere, but it will be mixed with something else. And based on our history with the country, it is an idealistic idea that everyone can come here and just melt into society. I really like more of the idea of the mosaic, is that people can still crisscross culture, people can crisscross ideologies, and but still have that uniqueness that makes each individual special. But when you take a step back, you can see the entire picture. So when it comes to a culture of democracy, I think what it boils down to for me is we have to understand our history. That is, to me, probably one of the biggest foundations, is if we keep attacking and looking at the issues we see today and not look into where is all this coming from, we would never know how to get to the future. And it goes back to a Filipino proverb that I heard once, and I hold it very, very close to me, and it goes, "Ang hindi marang luminong sa pinangganinan ay hindi makararating sa parukunan," which means he who does not look back to his roots will not reach his destination. And I believe it was a quote from Jose Rizal. And to me, that is probably the first and most critical step, is to start looking backwards and see, like, how did we get to this point to begin with? So it goes back to, like, last week's episode of how did we get here? And then I would say it boils down to, okay, so now all the things are on the plate. Everything is out on the table from 2020. Now let's start looking at how can we solve these. And it's difficult to really pin down one thing, like Carlo, you mentioned earlier. It's not enough just to raise the wages. You have to look at how the wages get raised and then see what it also affects along the way and start multitasking all these things simultaneously. You can't just boost the wages and then look at, like, oh, how does that solve, like, housing? How does that solve student loan debt? How does that solve? Because we need it, I agree. But I do feel that it goes, again, into that everything, every cog in the machine plays a critical role. And you have to keep looking at how do they interact with each other. Because if one small thing goes off, it can become a trickle effect to everything else. So that's probably the way that I would look at that one. But thank you, Sean, for asking reverting the question back to us. That was good.
Yeah, man.
So we'll leave that open to the floor. Anyone want to jump in?
And this is Max. I'm with you on. I think one of the key things is we need a better understanding of our country in general. You know, because throughout history, there's a lot of holes, should we say, and history is written by the victor. So why would you put anything in it? I mean, you're gonna put things in there that are negative because you just can't leave out, but you're not gonna tell the complete makeup of what made this country to be. And then again, I'll also go to how we kind of, again, I'll go back to this whole rugged individualism thing. I think that's another key thing that it's kind of permeating through this whole country. You get what I'm saying? If you see somebody that's poor and then you don't understand why this happened to this person, you might come to the conclusion like, well, they there because that's how they didn't work hard enough. They didn't do this or that. And a lot of people, and I'm not going to say all Americans, but a lot of people tend to just overlook those in need and who are searching for help. And if we take care of the bottom, it'll raise everything up. That's what I believe.
That is really good.
There's also one more thing. We have to, I think another thing that can help, like, we need to get a better coalition of people like the lower class and middle class people together. And I think one of the things that, especially with black and white people, is one of the things like with poor black people and poor white people is they conflate the things, the problems that are in black communities as black. Some, not I'm gonna say all of them, but some of them conflate it with black culture when that's just part of being poor. So like guns, drugs, violence, and all that stuff. It's deal with poor people. If you raise everything up for poor people, then you'll get rid of a lot of crime. I'm not saying you're gonna get rid of all crime, but it's better than just having poor people dealing with poor things, you know.
Thank you very much for sharing that. We got about 1 minute left on this question. We'll leave it open to the floor for any last minute.
I'll go in if nobody else wants to.
Go for it, dude.
Real quick, I agree with what everyone said, and I learned something really interesting this week from somebody I follow, The Funky Academic. You can go check them out, www.thefunkyacademic.com. And I'm sure people have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you start with like your basic housing and food and whatnot, and go all the way up to your aspirational. Mm-hmm. A part of me, it's a theory. A part of me is always kind of questioned it. It makes sense. It's like, well, if you don't have food and you don't have a house, you know, you kind of really can't focus on the things such as like education and then like your dreams, aspirations, and your spirituality. But what that does is it basically says that your basic needs are always up for grabs, in a sense. And so we kind of have to get to a point where we understand what rights are. And one of the biggest arguments in the black community, now that you mention it, Max, because I've read books on W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, is that they argue between political rights and civil rights. And something that Irene just said was they are both wrong, because when you split up rights or make a hierarchy of rights, you automatically lose. Why is it that our rights for just being a human being, a functioning human being in society, really a right of persons, are always up for grabs in every election? Why is it always existential? That's so unstable for any society. So the very things that you all talk about when it comes to education, when it comes to wages, work, and everything, you want democratized power. And democratized power doesn't just mean equal division of labor, meaning that women get paid the same as men, which feminists are right about, definitely. But we never truly talk about, even in feminism to a degree, the division of risk. And the division of risk is where you have a lot of classism in it too, where the rich folks say they take the risk, but they actually push off the risk to all of us that produce things, which is where the real power is in those who produce. And then they make all the money, and yet you push off all the cost. So we need to make sure that we're not putting one right over another right. You need a right to clean water just like you need the right to vote in order to be a functioning member in your society. And that's the bottom line. And if you always go to where everything's existential, you calcify things. You make it to where tyranny will be the option as long as it supplies your housing, your health care, your food. I mean, that's how Hitler came to rise after World War I. It's because he was willing to guarantee those things. You can have health care, and you can have a market economy, and you can have tyranny and fascism. So you have to change the culture. That is true. I totally agree with that. And part of the change in the culture also is having cultural competency, where I know what to not say to a white person as, or I know what not to say to a black person or an Asian person that would rub them the wrong way if we're both middle class or working class, which unfortunately too many people in the upper class work against those folks. You need to start to see that you rather pay for freedom through your taxes for the government to work for everybody than get paid to be held captive or pay to be held captive if you're working in lower class. And then our upper class brothers and sisters who really do want to do good, they may not know better. They have to learn that they're being paid to hold other people captive to keep a status quo. So those are the things that I think that are necessary. That type of language that's straightforward, no matter what the issue is, whether it's healthcare, environment, housing, war, we are all either going to pay to be free, which is a group project, because rugged individualism shows that it doesn't work because freedom is a group project. You either pay to be free or you will pay to be held captive or pay to hold somebody else captive or pay to be held captive. So that's my input.
Very deep and very inspirational. And everyone, thank you so much for sharing the responses on that one. Because, again, like we do all the time on the show, a lot of the questions are very broad for that reason, because it makes us kind of think a little bit more like, what does this mean by this kind of, what does democracy mean? What does human rights mean? So thank you so much for sharing those. So moving on to number 5, would you like to read that one, Noah?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Clarity, and thank you for the time. So number 5, describe what social actions you all believe society must do in order to move forward. So let's not just talk about the abstract. Let's get specific. Even just in your local community, what specific actions do you believe we as people, individuals, need to do to move society forward in the right direction? And this is open to the floor.
Yeah, hi, this is John. I think people need to listen and willing to understand others, even if they choose not to participate or even agree with the other person's actions. I feel that when someone participates or says something meaningful, there's a lot of misunderstanding with people who listen to them, and therefore they are so quick to judge and disagree with them. I feel that they just don't really listen to them effectively.
Thank you. I totally agree.
I've got something.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Hey, this is Carly here. Looking at, so you were asking for concrete examples?
Yeah, any type of an example.
For me, one of the things is, I'm going to quote author Robin DiAngelo, who wrote the book White Fragility. One of the things we need to do is stop calling our beliefs our truth. She makes the point that a lot of privileged people will say, I'm speaking my truth. Well, it's not truth, it's beliefs. But if they call it truth, well, the word truth implies absolute. You can't argue with it. So people need to stop wielding that card of calling their beliefs truth so that people would look bad if they argue with them. Another thing is love in action, not in the abstract. You get people who say these cliche things of love everybody, we're all the same, blah, blah, blah. One of my literature professors, her motto in terms of when we were, doing explanatory writing, trying to make our writing specific and not vague, was she would always insist, show, don't tell. It's one thing to say, oh, I'm this or I'm not this or whatever. Demonstrate. Don't say, I'm not this, but, or, oh, I believe this and that. Demonstrate it. A lot of people's words contradict what their actions are, so they need to we all need to focus on our actions. So basically, demonstrate our beliefs, not continually try to verbally convince people, because that just goes nowhere. And then reading books. So if it's okay for me to plug a few of them here, in case people want to write down the titles, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. One of them is White Fragility, as in fragile, like as in breakable, by Robin DiAngelo. Another one is Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man by...
No, I know that guy. Yep.
I think it's his name. I just bought that one. I look forward to reading it. Cast, as in C-A-S-T-E, The Origins of Our Discontent, that is by Isabel Wilkerson, that just came out this year, and I read it, and I'm like, these 3 books need to be textbooks. They need to be textbooks in every single class. Start them young, So, and especially in the pandemic, if we're people who aren't very connected online and you don't have as many opportunities to talk to people for a while, the very least we can do is read books. It's like take it as an opportunity when you're spending more time by yourself to read books about these issues, and then that way you're more informed when you do get to actually talk to real people again. So
that is very insightful, and thank you so much. If you could send us a list of those books that you recommend, we will put them in the description box so our listeners are able to find the names and then where to purchase them. But that is beautifully worded, and I just want to interject something real quickly of a observation-wise, because you nailed something on the head that it didn't even come to fruition for myself personally until early this year. Somebody said once, is this person racist? Is this person sexist? Is this person whatever? And like you're saying, I'm not this, I'm not that. The response really should be at the end of the day, and it's a very harsh reality. If somebody came to someone and says, do you think I'm racist? Do you think I'm this? You've known me forever. The correct answer really actually is we can't judge what's in someone's heart. We can't judge their intentions because we're not them. We can only judge with what we see. So you hit it on the head very well, because I've heard that a lot where people would say, I'm not racist because I have a black or a person of color, insert name, family, friend here. And while the intentions, again, may be good in all aspects of it, it's a harsh reality is that people don't know who that person is. So we can only see with what they're saying or what they're doing. And like you said, show, don't tell. That hits it really full circle, especially when it comes to like screenwriting and film production. So thank you for sharing that perspective. So
yeah, I also want to add that when you said that people say I'm speaking my truth, it's so obvious, and I just kind of look over that phrase, but I never thought about people using it as, you can't attack me because I'm living my truth, when it really is beliefs. And that abuse of language is very important, because like what you just said, it's like show, like through your actions, don't speak. Some things, never change, such as, talk is cheap. Like, no matter what area you live in, that's in the world, and no matter what time human beings in their life, that's always been true. And I really appreciate you clarifying something so simple yet very important and profound.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else on the floor?
No, I had something, but I forgot what it was.
Oh,
right. So we only have 2 questions left for the show as we're winding down. But again, thank you so much for everyone who has been on the show, and welcome back for those who have been on the show before. So we have 2 last questions to wind down the evening. So
hey, Clarity.
Yes.
Since we had one response, I wanted to put in one thing I think that would be useful, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Quickly, I would say I agree with what everyone else said about what we should do, listening and definitely reading those books, and actions are important. On that Maslow's hierarchy of needs was like spirituality and like contentment and aspiration. I would say finding meaning is one of the most important things. Something that the Funky Academic Ivy L.C. Frimpar was saying is, if you have a hard time understanding why people still want to go to church even during a pandemic, some of it is because of the fact that there's meaning in it. You can't find meaning from just eating and drinking and whatnot. People do find meaning from those things. I don't agree necessarily with putting your life at risk and others, with the exception of those that maybe have programs to help people who are addicted to drugs, and they have always opened their doors to people like that in the church, and they have like actual ministry and are willing to risk their lives doing it, then that's one thing. But finding meaning in your life, and I think the most important thing to find meaning is finding more sophisticated ways of providing freedom for yourself and others. And I think that is the heart of what we're trying to do, because if you focus on the inside and finding meaning, everything else will kind of fall into place, all the other needs that the people need in a society to function. So,
very insightful. Thank you, Nuance.
Thank you.
So our second to last question that we're going to keep again open to the floor is describe one thing that someone said today in this discussion that touched you.
I got one.
Yeah.
Maxwell, thank you so much for your contributions. I've quoted you. I've been like taking notes on that. I quoted you a few times. I really like how you said it. It's hard to get on the same page when you're reading from different books. That is a great way to start. People who argue things that, we're all on the same, and it's like as though everybody, the fallacy of the level playing field. Like we've touched on that from a number of different angles, throughout this discussion today. But that's one. If you don't mind, I'm going to quote you on that. That's a great way to really open up the conversation bluntly and get people to pay attention and be like, dude, we're not even reading from the same book. Let's break this down a little. So thank you for your contribution.
No problem. Go ahead and keep that one in your back pocket.
That was really good.
Yeah.
This is Max. It was something that she said that stuck with me, but I just can't, for some apparent reason, I'm just drawing a blank on it. It was during the talk when she was talking about the white fragility book and so on. I'm just completely spacing on it. Why, for some apparent reason. But there was something within that whole conversation that hit me. Let's just say that conversation in general just hit me in the right way.
All right.
The belief part, the calling your beliefs truth.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna put that one in my back pocket.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want
Go ahead,
to
Sean.
thanks to Maxwell for contributing to, I think it was, do you believe situation? On question number 2, I felt that his answer was very unique, and I felt that it was valuable.
Wow. Thank you,
I
Sean.
appreciate that.
All right. And then we'll go to the last question. Number 7. What was it like sharing open perspectives in this way? And the floor is open for that question.
This is Max. I'll go first. It was very interesting because a lot of the ideas I usually spitball it with me and my brother, talk about it, stuff like that. And I never really know how people outside of him will take it. So it's like saying it out to other people that I don't really know is a good how they receive it, and I see how they taking it pretty well. It seems like a good barometer. At least I'm walking down the right path. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I liked it. It's good.
Thank you. That's the purpose of this show. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Carly here. I just want to thank you guys for doing this because, especially now when, some people are more connected during the pandemic than others. Whether it's online or they take more initiative with reaching out to people and I've always struggled to do that, so I've spent a lot of time by myself and, not going online and things like that. So whether I'm actively participating or simply listening on Sunday night, this is filling a very important need for me, and I imagine for anybody who's listening and really resonating with what everybody on here is saying. I can close my eyes and feel like I'm sitting in the living room with all of you, and I just want to say thank you, because these conversations, everybody's speaking very well in terms of, having, the clarity of their ideas and what they're saying and everything, and just really, really lining up heart to heart and being able to, and also to build on each other's statements. And like you said, using one answer, hey, that kind of springboards into our next question, or someone saying, yeah, what the person before me said, I've got something to add to that. So I really appreciate how, even though we're taking turns, it's not like we're all kind of, throwing in a conversation. It's not like an informal conversation at a coffee house or something. It's a lot more structured. But it still feels like a conversation. It still feels like we're all collaborating. We're not just each saying our soundbite in a vacuum. So I appreciate that you guys have structured it such that we could do that we feel like we're cooperating and not just, oh, no, it's this person's turn and that person's turn. We're being actively influenced by each other, and I like that.
I think that pretty much hits it all the way home of what the mission of Third Paradigm was at the very beginning when we first came up with this idea in the mid of 2020, is that at the end of the day, and I was thinking about it earlier from a friend I was talking to, is that when it comes to identity and what the U.S. is going through right now, and even down to individuals, it's going to sound a little weird, but I think I might have brought it up in a past episode, but if we think about it, like, we're all cells in the United States' body to some extent. Like, if you think of the United States as like a living person, this person is trying to figure out exactly what it means to be American. It's learning about its past that it didn't even know about, and then it's trying to figure out how to move forward as a nation. And then if you look at every individual, we're in the same boat individually to some extent, where we're trying to figure out, like, where do we move forward? My beliefs have changed a lot over the years, and I think at the very base core of it all, there's a lack of feeling of belongingness, to kind of quote another friend, is that what the whole mission was, like you put it so beautifully, is that the purpose of Third Paradigm is to welcome all people from all perspectives, including all political views, for a somewhat sense of belongingness, a place where you can come in here anonymously or yourself, and you can share honest, raw perspectives. Very raw, very real, and honest to goodness perspectives. So thank you so much for that. That was beautifully worded. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Is that all?
This is Sean. I'd like to give a special thanks for all the listeners for listening to my perspective, and everyone else's open perspective. It's something valuable to listen to someone with the intent to understand, rather than kind of destroy what they're trying to say.
Beautiful.
Yes, those are two different conversations. I highly agree. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, well, that closes it out, I think, right, Clarity?
Yeah, that closes it all off. So thank you, everyone, for being here today and for coming back to our show.
And I think this is a really good way to top the year off and prepare everybody for the new year. So thank you all so much. And
next week we're going to dive into New Year's resolutions. So we're going to end the year on a little bit of a higher note. So
well, actually, by the time that comes out, I think we'll be in the new year.
Yeah, we're going to record on Sunday, and we're going to release on the very first Saturday of the new year. So New Year's resolutions is up next week.
Yes, so thank you all. Have a good Christmas. Actually, it'll be Christmas by the time you all hear this. Good Hanukkah, good Eid, whatever religious holiday you celebrate or secular holiday you celebrate, and please be safe, be good to your neighbor, and we look forward to having a conversation with you here at Third Paradigm.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Yep.